everyone. I'm David, as was said, and I will walk you through a couple of the use cases, how you can leverage the call recordings and chats using generative AI. So let's not postpone it anymore and let's jump into it. Right now, you should see a couple of the slides that I've prepared for you, and I'll make it full screen. So I'm leading the FSI team, and we are working on several use cases for many clients across the globe. So I will try to share with you the gist of it. So for the beginning, GPT and all the buzz about generative AI and how to leverage in the business. The main message from me today around this is it's not about the chat itself. You can use it in other ways, and you can use it to automatically process vast amount of data in your company. And by that, you can extract a lot of value and use it down the line. So let's jump into it. The thing is that as probably every company in the world, the data are not always super organized. So it's quite a mess. And you need to start by building some platforms. So a couple of years back, this was basically impossible. No one was able to work with large language models effectively, but this has changed, and this has changed quite recently because in the last couple of years, the growth of the cloud platforms was there, and they evolved a lot, and now it's much more easier to develop such a solution using large language models, and it's much more cost efficient. So for those who are not yet on the Databricks platforms, make sure to get some first looks at the platform, because this is at least from my perspective the key technology that is massively simplifying and enabling you to do all the cool use cases these days. So the thing is that in FS&I there are many use cases, but today we will focus on a particular group of them. And the group will be consisting of the use cases where you are leveraging the call recordings or chat messages, or basically any communication between you as a bank or financial institution or any other corporate or large enterprise and your clients. And this communication happens typically over some call centers, help desk, and so on. And a lot of stuff happens during these calls with the customers, during some chat messages and exchanges between banker and the client. There is a lot of information in it. But till now, till the generative AI came, it was quite complicated to extract some value and do it in scale. So today, we will zoom in how to build a solution that can enable you to do all these use cases. You can now, with this modern solution, you can now identify new leads and opportunities in call recording, chat messages, much easier. And you can enrich your existing models. So basically, you can extract additional information from the mentioned data sets, and you can leverage it in your risk processes, CRM processes, and so on. So again, basically bringing some extra to your existing models. Or you can just automate some scanning or monitoring processes. There are a lot of back office processes where some team leaders or quality managers are basically listening to some calls or reading through some chats, trying to improve the performance of the bankers or of the agents. And it's like super time-consuming job. So you wanted to automate this, make it more efficient, make it less time demanding for the back office people. And last but not least, sometimes you just want to extract the information from some PDFs, documents, third-party documents, some annual reports of the companies. We see this a lot in, for example, risk area, where during the risk process you need to extract a lot of information from various documents, and every single case the document is slightly differently formatted, and so on. So again, it's like heavy manual work. And with generative AI, you can change that. Now, the question is how. And here's the answer. So yeah, you probably expected we have some solution to that, and it's we call it our persona is a core solution of our company, and we call it LLM Inspector, this specific module. But the concept is quite general. Yeah, so I will try to zoom in why it works, or based on which principles it's built. So first, you have an input, you have call recordings, you have chats, you have emails. Then you are feeding this to a solution built in the cloud on top of Databricks platform. And you are using the large language models that are either open source or it's GPT models. You can use various of them. You can test which one is better for your specific data. But in general, this is the part of the solution that processes the data and basically tries to search in the data. And then you have search model that is producing the outputs. So it's basically creating a structured format of the data. So you can imagine it, for every call, every chat conversation, you have a row, and for everything you are trying to search in it, you have a column. And so you have this massive table as an output. So that's on a high level. If we dig deeper one level down, it looks roughly like that. So of course you have some source system where you are getting the data from. So typically it's some Genesis, Anywhere 365, it's CX-Nice, all these like business apps made for call centers and help desk. So you extract the data automatically using Databricks, you store them, and then you use speech-to-text conversion by open source model. Whisper, that's state-of-the-art open source model for speech-to-text conversion. And you run the model inside of Databricks. Or alternatively, you can run it in, for example, Azure OpenAI services, but it's down to the preference, and there are slight differences in price. So once you have the call transcripts, you can start searching in it. At this stage, you can basically connect it with the chat messages or inbound emails and so on. It's basically text format data. So to search in such data, we are using the large language models. And here, what happens in the solution is that for every question, so let's imagine you are investigating call recording of between an agent and a client, and you want to make sure that the agent is not misleading the client. Yeah. So you have a very specific set of questions. Let's call them some red flag scenarios, where the agent would be misleading or would say something forbidden, or would basically break some compliance, or something like that. For example, it can be a question like whether the agent is inviting to meet with a client outside of the office, for example, in a pub or in some bar. So you want to take this question, and what we do, we basically run for every call transcript. We take this question, we put it onto large language model, and use the large language model to search in the call transcript or the chat, and basically return us the result, whether it thinks that this happened or not. And this result we are then storing in something which we call feature store. It's a traditional concept how to store the data that are going into some predictive models and so on. So it's if I simplify it, it's basically another table where for every row, for every call, you have the call and chat in every row, and then for in columns you have all these questions you are searching for, and there is no limit to it. There can be like thousands and millions of questions. It's just a cost. It's just a question of costs for Databricks. All right, so imagine you have this feature store table, and then you can use it to build some specific data products for different departments. So, for example, if we stay with the mentioned case of a call investigation, you can, for example, for compliance team, build a solution that continuously monitors all the call recordings and flags the ones where the rules were broken. And then some compliance officer can go and try to do something about it. Or, for example, for risk, you can use the same data. You can ask different questions, whether the client is, for example, promising too much that he will, I don't know, of course he will provide some documents, or of course he will pay back, and so on. So you can again search for different information in a communication, and you can use it to enrich your models. Or for call center operations, you can create nice dashboards visualizing the performance of the team, what are the top topics that are discussed in the calls, and so on. And last but not least, you can use it for upselling, cross-selling, creating some leads, or basically detecting clients who are interested in purchasing something extra. So here's a case study from one of our clients. We've been implementing this solution into the area of call recording inspection. So it's a case very close to the one I used as example. And we were testing 12 different questions, and we were basically benchmarking it with a standard human-based process. So basically, human randomly picking the calls and basically sampling and investigating the calls. And it turned out that using large language model, it's quite similarly accurate, but you can use it for all the calls, which is total game changer. So the accuracy is good enough. Of course, the large language models doesn't have, like, you know, sometimes there are situations where it's not accurate, specifically if you ask about some very local things. Yeah, so this was a client, and there were some local brands of coffee shops and these things, and the large language model was not able to comprehend that they are basically, for example, asking the client to go to this coffee shop. Yeah, so there are these cases where the large language model is not accurately evaluating it, but on the other hand, for majority of the cases, it's as good as the human investigator, with the big advantage that it can basically work 24/7, and it can very nicely scale. And of course, you don't need to hire people and make them do this monkey job. But once you are in this stage, it doesn't end. It actually is quite the opposite, right? It's the beginning, because now you have the solution in place and you can reuse it for other use cases. So I already touched it, and of course there are a couple more use cases, as you can see. So some of them are quite complex, some of them are less complex, some of them has higher business potential, some of them are just like small productivity tweaks. So it really depends, but here is just like let's say top 8 of them that you should definitely think about. So the question is, what's next, right? So when we are discussing this with our clients, I think before you see it on your with your eyes, it's hard to create some opinion about it. So we always ask our client, hey, let's do some POC, and it doesn't need to be something big, because our solution is listed in all the hyperscalers. We can do very cost-efficient POC. We can show you how it works. We can give you the source code, the solution into your Databricks, and we can spend some time fine-tuning it to your particular needs. And as you can see, this like pilot project, it typically costs like around 10,000 euros. Most of the time, it can be even co-funded by our technological partners, which are typically the hyperscalers. So it's nothing big. You can really start today. And once you start building up the backlog of the use cases, and the whole business case for you in your company will start to basically become alive. And to give you some outlook where it goes from there, from the POC, because clients often ask us what's next, right? So the next is that you can, of course, buy the solution from us as a one-off. You can use your own internal team, because I'm sure that every serious company these days, they have their own AI capability, they have their own people. So you can just take the solution from us and continue developing it on your own, or you can keep working with us. It's not mutually exclusive, right? You can do both. You can buy it and then use us as a consulting partner to accelerate your team even more, and especially in the part of integration projects, yeah, because this is our bread and butter. We do provide teams and consultants for the integrations project and so on. So that's basically it. If this topic is interesting for you, feel free to reach out to us anytime. You can reach out to me or to my colleague Robert, and we are super looking forward to discuss your specific needs, your specific use cases, ideas, or basically anything related to that. So thanks a lot. Looking forward to your questions, and good luck with innovating your business processes by generative AI. Cheers.